Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of 247 DIY. Today we've got the higher mileage 2012 Subaru Forester back in the shop, and we're going to be replacing this metal coolant line that lives just underneath the engine. So let me go ahead, take you underneath the car. I'll show you where exactly this mounts underneath the car, show you why we're replacing it, and then we'll get into fixing it. And here's that pipe that I was just showing you. It runs right along here on the underside of your engine. It connects up just over here to a rubber line that goes into your water pump, and it goes between the subframe and your engine and then makes a 90-degree turn and goes up the back of the engine. And you can see here all this rust all over the pipe here. I've actually replaced this pipe once before because it got close to looking like this. And my concern is if that rusts through far enough, the vehicle's going to end up leaking coolant everywhere, and then you're going to be broke down on the side of the road. You're going to need a tow. So this is a little bit of preventative maintenance to go ahead, get this pipe out of here before we have to worry about any problems like that. And so unfortunately, what makes this job a pain is the fact that there's not quite enough room as the engine sits to be able to get that pipe fished down through the way it makes that 90-degree turn and goes up the back of the engine. So one thing that we're going to have to do, and a tool you're going to need to have on hand, you're going to want to have an engine hoist, because we're going to undo the motor mounts and we're going to have to lift the engine a little bit so that once that pipe's undone and unbolted, we can work it down through between the engine and the subframe and from behind the backside of the engine. So I'm zoomed out just a little bit right here just to give you an idea of where we're going to be working before we zoom in close. But we need to take the two nuts off the bottom studs of the motor mounts, and you have one motor mount right here, one motor mount over here. I'll go ahead and I'll remove the one on the other side. It's the exact same thing, just a 14mm nut. And there is also a washer with both of those nuts, so don't lose that. Now we can go ahead and lower the car back down because we're going to be working on a few things in the engine bay. All right, so here we are in the back driver's side of the engine bay. I've got you off the tripod for a minute just so I can get down here because it is a very tight area to try to get in and show you what we're doing. But you can see these two larger lines right here. The smaller of the two, these are your two here core lines, the smaller of the two over here, this is the top one that we're going to be disconnecting. And then right over here, this little guy that comes off of there, we're going to be disconnecting that one too. And on our part here, that would be this part of the pipe and this part of the pipe that we're going to be going ahead and disconnecting. So if I remember correctly from the last time that I did this, the small line, barely any coolant will come out of. So all we're going to do is get in there with some long reach needle nose pliers. We're going to squeeze that clamp that's on there, and we're just going to slide it up the hose a bit. And then if you don't have a set already, I recommend getting these hose clamp pliers. You can go around the base of that rubber hose and you can give it a good twist, because I find over time the hoses really stick to the metal on these pipes and they can be pretty stubborn to get loose, and that's why we're breaking these free now before the pipe's actually undone. That way we're not fighting with the pipe being loose, and we can really get a good grip on there, work it side to side to break it free, and then pop it off. And a little coolant will drip out, nothing that's the end of the world, and then we'll just take it, get it up here like this, and we'll just keep it upright. And you'll start to hear a little bit of coolant drain out of the top of that coolant pipe. And so for situations like this, I like to keep a little bag of these little rubber caps. I bought these a while back on Amazon. You can just find one that's a good size and squeeze it right on the top of that pipe just to stop the coolant from rushing out of that pipe. We do have more to fill as necessary at the end, but the less you can spill now, the less you'll have to add later. And then we'll work on that other hose. Same thing, I just kind of got inventive here. For that other hose, I just grabbed a bolt. I put one of those yellow, I just showed you that little bag of those little caps on the end of it. It was still a little small, so I wrapped it in some electrical tape. We'll use that to plug the hose. And then I just had this random black stopper just laying around with my random bin of things. That should fit over the top of that line. We can cap that off and avoid making a bigger mess than we need to. And the same thing, we'll use our long reach needle nose pliers to get down in there, squeeze that clamp, slide it back along the rubber hose, grab a bigger set of the hose clamp pliers I was just telling you about, right, so now that we have that larger line, that heater core line undone and capped off so we're not making a huge mess here, there is a bolt that bolts this line. We just undid this rubber line, we just undid this rubber line. We need to get this bolt out of there. Off the top of my head, I believe it's either a 10 or a 12 millimeter. I'll find out in a second, but as long as we're up here, we'll go ahead and get that bolt off the back side of here. And it's a 10 millimeter. You got that little bolt off the back of there. All right, so before we even did the work up here in the engine bay, remember we went ahead and removed those two engine motor mount nuts. So now the engine is free, and since it's just resting on the subframe, it's not physically attached anymore. And we're going to be going ahead and using this engine lift point right here. We're going to hook a strap around that. I'm going to use my engine hoist to lift the engine a little bit. And then one thing I didn't do last time that I learned from, we're going to be sliding underneath, and we're just going to take some impact sockets. We're going to slide those in between the subframe and the engine mount for two reasons. One, the last time I did this, I wasn't using a lift, and I want to be able to lift this up in the air. That way you guys can get a better view, and it just makes life easier for me, and I can't lift it in the air if the hoist is holding the engine up. And two, the hoist doesn't hold its position, or at least the hoist I have. It varies slowly as you're working. It just loses a little bit of pressure in the hydraulic cylinder, and so you're constantly jacking it back up a little bit at a time as you're working. So if we can jack it up to where we want it and then slide those sockets in, like I said, between the subframe and the engine mounts, then we can just get the hoist out of the picture and the engine will be sitting right where we want it. Alright, so there you can see I got the impact socket between the engine mount and the subframe. I was going to do the other side too, but this one, the stud came all the way through the subframe. I didn't want to sort of like lose the location of the engine, like when I go to lower it back down, those not wanting to line back up. It wouldn't be the end of the world, just more of a pain that I want to deal with today. So I left this side in, and then that should give us the clearance that we need to get this pipe through there. All right, so in this case down here, I'm going to start with the 10 millimeter bolt this time. We're going to get that free. And so since this is the second time that I'm doing this, I did decide to go ahead and get a new piece of hose that goes between the water pump and the pipe we're replacing. I've already got it blocked off because what I'm going to do is undo this hose clamp here. I'm going to pull the whole pipe and the rubber piece off, and then, like I said, I've already got it capped. That way we can shove it back on the water pump and continue to avoid losing as little coolant as possible. Whew. So yeah, it comes out pretty aggressive there when you do it that way. But again, just stand by with however you're doing this, whether it's just the rubber piece that you're slapping back on there or the pipe itself. Just do one in the other as quick as you can, swap them over. Let me go ahead and dry my arms off and then we'll get that pipe out of there. And you can just see how nasty that pipe was getting there. So getting this changed out is just going to give me that little peace of mind, like on long road trips, knowing that it's one less thing I have to worry about failing. All right, so I've got the new pipe here. I've transferred over those caps that we were using from the old pipe. I'm gonna fish this up through, and then I will pull that stopper and that rubber piece out that we added so the coolant didn't flow, and then real quickly transfer over to this end of the new pipe. Forgot how messy of a job this was. I'm going to take a minute, wipe everything down, and then we'll come back and start to finalize getting everything finished back up. All right, so I think I may have forgot to hit record on that last little bit. After I went ahead and wiped everything down, we replaced this 10mm bolt right up here. I did opt for new hardware, new bolts that is, since I was online anyway, and I was looking at the technical diagrams for this pipe. That's why in the cart I just threw a new piece of rubber hose and the 2 new factory clamps, as well as the 2 new factory bolts. So that bolt's up there. I moved the clamps back into place, so we can go ahead and lower the car back to the ground and start reconnecting everything up in the engine bay. And now we can hook everything back up the opposite way we took it off. We'll start by putting the 10mm bolt in the back to mount it to the engine block. And you can take your pick of which hose you want to put back on first, but I think I'll start with the larger heater hose. And then we can hook back up the smaller hose. All right, so now we need to go ahead and just compensate and fill back up the amount of coolant that we lost. I have my filler funnel here for my radiator. If you don't have one of these, I suggest getting one. It makes refills on your cooling system very easy. It adapts to pretty much any radiator. It comes with different caps and adapters. I've got it set up here for the Subaru, and it allows you to pour in a head of coolant, and then there will be a little stopper where once you're satisfied that you can't see any more air bubbles coming out and you've bled the system properly, you can use that stopper, open it up, take it off. You only just lose a little bit of coolant. It doesn't make a big mess. But let's go ahead and get that filled. If you're used to older Subarus like I am, the older green long life coolant came concentrated and you have to mix it 50-50 with distilled water. The newer Subarus with the blue super coolant comes pre-mixed. It's already diluted, so you can just use this straight out of the gallon into your vehicle. And once it stops bubbling and stops taking coolant on its own, especially because we disconnected those heater core lines and so now there's air in that heater core system, we're going to start the car and we're going to let it run and just make sure to turn your heat all the way to high. That's going to, once that thermostat opens up, that's going to start cycling the coolant a little bit faster. But yeah, that's what we're going to do. Get in, start it, set the coolant or the heat all the way to high. Give it some time to come to operating temperature. That way that thermostat does open, and once that thermostat opens and it starts flowing through the heater core, we'll let it continue to run until we don't see any more bubbles. And before we go any further, one thing I forgot to do, I don't think it would have been an issue to continue to let it run, is I heard a couple of little metal on metal clanks and I realized we didn't set the engine back down into place. So it was rocking a little bit. Like I said, I don't think it would have hurt anything to have continued to let it run, but out of an abundance of caution, let's go ahead. We'll lift this back up, set it down, and we'll get that socket out of there, set it back down into place, tighten up those nuts, and then we'll go ahead and start the car and let it bleed the system. So I cut away there only because I ran into that problem that I explained that I was trying to avoid a little bit, which was lifting the stud of the engine mount so far off that it came above the subframe, and then when I went to lay it down, it was sitting on the subframe instead of going back down in the hole. So I kind of had to get a big pry bar in there and just wrestle the motor back the 1/4 of an inch or so it needed to slot down into that hole. We got the 2 14mm bolts tightened up. I restarted the engine up. We let it get up to operating temp, revved it up a few times just to make sure there wasn't any residual air in there, and I'm confident now that there's no air in there. So that's going to go ahead and wrap this one up, guys. I realized some of the camera angles were hard to see, but hopefully that just lets you know how much of a pain this job can be. It's such a simple part, and yet it's such a pain in the butt to replace if it does rust out and you need to replace it. So again, I hope you got something out of this video. If you did like the video, be sure to hit that like button. Feel free to leave a comment below, and if you're not subscribed already, please consider subscribing. Thanks.